Welcome to the Real Estate Niche Show, a show that focuses on top real estate professionals who specialize in different niches of real estate. My name is Ben Kogut. Join me as we dive deep into the professional and personal lives of the experts of the real estate industry. Welcome to the Real Estate Niche Show. I'm your host, Ben Kogut. Today, I'm honored to have a very special guest. Esti Reizes-Lowenbein is here. Esti services the commercial real estate market as a realtor, investor, and syndicator. She has successfully closed over $400 million in commercial transactions thus far in a very short period of time, I might add. She's recognized as a serial networker and has a knack of connecting buyers, sellers, investors. She just told me that she has over 25,000 connections on LinkedIn. It's like mind-boggling. Esti, thank you so much for being here. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on your background and what you specialize in.
Thanks for having me on. And I got to say, you're the first one that got my name right the first time. So kudos.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. So what I do, I'll kind of give you the timeline of how I started, and then you'll see what I'll summarize in a short. So I started in the real estate space, I started as a residential broker. Then I got into the commercial space when I had enough of being a marriage counselor and a psychologist.
Right.
I decided I'm more like practical, down to earth. Does it work? Does it not work? Finish, move on. So I enjoy the commercial space that much better. You're also dealing with more professionals, which I appreciate, and it's just a whole different environment.
Yep.
So
agreed. I had that same journey.
Oh, did you?
My residential was very short-lived, maybe less than a year.
Oh, okay. The last client that I had, I showed him 50 houses before he chose one. So that was also like the final straw.
Yeah.
But a great client, nice guy. Just it was a lot of showings, and you don't get paid for all that time. Then I got involved in commercial. Yeah.
Keep going. Oh, I was just wondering the time frame. Yeah. When did you switch into commercial?
I have to go back and actually see exactly when it was. The thing that got me started was our family was listing a building. So I have to see when I actually listed it. It might have been 2 years ago, but my time
2019-ish. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact.
About 2 years ago, yeah. My frame of time is a little off these days. Everything's like happening so fast. I'm trying to keep up with the time. Having that timeline in my head is I'm totally losing that.
Yeah.
Thank God, it's for good reasons. So I got involved in commercial real estate, and about a year and a half ago, I sold a property to a client in Connecticut, and he had asked me to help him find an equity investor. First I thought I was doing him a favor. That's how much I knew about the business. So I was like, sure, no problem. I'll help you. I sold him the property. I was going to be that nice realtor that's going to help. And within 2 phone calls, I found him an equity investor.
Wow.
So first of all, I learned how profitable, raising equity can be. And I was like, wow, I really like doing this. Let me continue doing this. I've since raised over 40 million from JVs and GPs.
Wow.
I also syndicated a deal from LPs that I am a co-GP on. And I now started a private equity fund to further the process, take it to the next step. So at this point, I raised from LPs, JVs, and GPs.
Wow. That's an incredible accomplishment in 2 years. So let's unpack that a little bit and talk about how did you go about raising capital to get to $40 million in the last 2 years? I mean, that's phenomenal. Tell us, what steps do you go through to make that happen?
So I kind of had my investor base from being a broker. I had that list of, people that are willing, that want to invest in real estate. And I do a ton of networking. So I just kind of had to go through that list and see who would want to partner with someone else. That's pretty much what it was. I was connecting partners.
Were you doing it like in your head? You're like, oh, this person I think should go here, or this person here, or just kind of like a shotgun approach, send it out. Hey, this is a deal I like and a sponsor I like. and just send it out to everybody and see who bites, or what's the process?
Yes. So the second one, I absolutely have no system until today. I don't have any system of how I go about it. I haven't figured out a system, just because right now I'm raising for pretty much whoever comes my way. Obviously, if I'm raising from LPs, I will be more selective of who I raise for. But if I'm raising from co-GPs and JVs and someone's looking for a partner, then I can just like kind of throw it out to all my investors and see who's interested in that particular property and that investment. And then they kind of have to like each other, or, like the deal like each other. So I'm kind of just like a matchmaker.
Yep. Understood. Being a matchmaker makes sense. And is there a property type or a niche that you're going after, or just people and relationships, or what's the thought process?
Yeah. So commercial real estate is what I raise for only. Depends how I'm going about it. Depends if it's a co-GP or JV. Either way, I don't have an asset or location in mind. If I'm raising from LPs, then the sponsor is my number one criteria. I want to see that the sponsor has a track record. I want to, vet them kind of and see who has invested with them in the past. Mm-hmm. So if I'm raising from LPs, I'm more particular about who I'm going in with. I have to be, because I'm bringing on investors and they're kind of trusting me. So I vet the sponsor and I vet the deal. I have an underwriter that underwrites the deal, and I have to like the returns to the investors as well. And I always put my own money into any deal that I raise from LPs. I want to show the clients that it's a great deal and that I like it. That's good. Yeah, that's from the limited partner structure. If it's a co-GP and JV, I have right now opportunities that need equity from 500,000 to 70 million. Like it ranges. So
incredible. All right, so let's talk about that a little bit, because you and I finally got to meet in person. We met at Vegas at the National Council of Exchangers meeting, and I know that you've been traveling around like crazy. And I'm just curious, like, is that part of your strategy? Just show up in person, or like what? And what kind of takeaways have you gotten from all this traveling?
So I don't really have like a strategy that I'm following, or that I set myself to, or that someone advised me. I'm just kind of doing like on the fly as I go, whatever. I'm loving it. I'm loving this process. So for me, I love getting to meet people and hearing people's stories, and just networking is something I enjoy. I guess I'm an extrovert, and this business totally feeds my extrovertness. So I enjoy it. That's why I really got into it. So I really enjoy the whole process, and I'm kind of just having fun doing it. So if I'm meeting if I'm meeting locally or outside, to me, it's all the same. I try to get to as many things as possible. I think it's all about your network, who you know. That's the bottom line in this business. It is, who's in your circle, who's seeing your content, who's seeing your properties. So you do have to come. If someone wants to be successful in this business, they have to get out there. They have to on social media. They have to get out in person. I was last week in Miami meeting investors for all these properties that I'm trying to raise for. So at the end of the day, it is a connection-based business.
Totally agree. And what would you say, I'm super personally curious, what's been the most efficient use of your time as far as like which conferences or really any of the above?
Oh, I am becoming more selective about where I'm going based on, after attending a few. Yeah, I have a list of which ones I will definitely go back to and which ones I definitely won't go back to. So yeah, I'm definitely evaluating and trying to make the most use out of my time. But I always say that if I meet one good connection at an event, it's worth it. So you can really never know who's going to be that perfect connection that's going to bring you, the next deal. And I actually have last 2 weeks ago, I met with someone. They wanted to meet me in person. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay. We set a time actually locally, and we met. And then he pitched me some other business idea, and I was like super annoyed. Like I made the time came down. I was like annoyed, but I was already there. And then his partner joined him. And his partner, this really cute guy, he sits and he's talking, and they're talking about their business and healthcare, totally unrelated to what I'm doing. But his partner then introduced me to two investors. So 2 days later, we drove down to meet those two investors. So initially, like this meeting, like I was super annoyed, but it turned out to be beneficial. So that's just an example. Like when I tell people, like you never know where your next prospect is going to come from. So keep being out there. And even if it doesn't work out that second, it might work out a year later from that event that you've been to.
Yeah, I agree. I've been raising capital exclusively for 4 years, and I would totally agree with you. You never know, and you got to play that long game. You just got to build relationships, be authentic, and see who you have chemistry with, because you never really know until you connect with somebody, for sure. And so let's keep. You mentioned putting out content, and I'll acknowledge you. You put out a lot of content. You seem to have a lot of success, in particular with LinkedIn and maybe some other platforms. I'm not sure. Share with us a little bit about what your thought process is with that, and what's worked, or maybe what doesn't work.
I really like LinkedIn. I think it's a very professional environment, and it's everyone over there has that mindset of growth, where they want to achieve, where they want to learn from others. So I really enjoy the platform. In terms of content, I have no set, times of what I post. I pretty much post based on my mood. And if I have something like really important to share, definitely no set content, but I try to be as authentic and as transparent as possible. So I think people can relate to that. Like you said, it's all about authenticity and being out there and trusting people. So I think maybe that's what kind of makes us successful in that way. That we're just being ourselves and putting out there what's, as we wish. I definitely have a strategy.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk a little bit about you, because I know that you have 8 kids.
Yes.
And holy moly, and I have no kids, and I still struggle to show up at all the different places and keep everything organized and keep creating content. And I'm just curious, do you have any strategies for managing your time?
That's a great question. It's a never-ending balance. Managing time every day is different for me because I have 8 children, and we're also buying real estate. We didn't even discuss that yet, but I'm also buying real estate, and we have several other family businesses. So we have a lot going on. We're building spec homes. Just maintaining our space and the kids' schedule. It's a lot. It really is. So my calendar is like my second Bible. I have to write down every little thing that I have to do, or a reminder, because if it's not written down, it's not happening. I became very, very good at writing everything down. I do try to delegate as much as possible. Like in terms of my house, I haven't cooked or cleaned in almost a year since things got really busy.
Okay.
I have hired help. So that's how I can do it on this end. I actually recently hired a driver to take me around from meeting to meeting and help me with my kids' carpool, because like that I can work in between and, just have extra time to do as much as possible. But I do work like a crazy lady. I think I'm the hardest working person out there. In between my kids, I'm working around the clock. It does take a lot. It really does. Like anyone, I get a lot of requests like, oh, how do you do it? And wow, what you do looks so glamorous. Can you teach me what you're doing? I'm like, it's a lot of work. It really, really is. I work from like morning to night in between the kids.
Well, that's it definitely shows like how hard you're working. I'm super impressed. And maybe just from the standpoint of being an inspiration for a lot of people that, feel like, I have 1 kid or 0 kids, like, how do I do it? Maybe share a little bit more about what else you're working on. This is the Real Estate Niche Show. Like you mentioned a couple of things about building some stuff. Like how are you going about doing that?
I'm actually also a speech language pathologist. I didn't mention that. So I was doing that for many years before I got involved in real estate. And one of the reasons I got involved in real estate was, okay, first of all, I was working with children and they coming home to children. that was super draining for me. But I just couldn't do it. God bless those mothers that are teachers. They can do it. I don't know how. I guess I had to, communicate with adults at some point in my day. And also I just had that drive to learn more. I just felt like I didn't know a lot. So getting into such a field like really pushed me to learn everything. So that's like, I have my own, how do we say it? Like my own drive to learn. I'm pretty, I like to get out there and challenge myself. But if anyone is looking to do anything, it's like, you can really do whatever you put your mind to. I do have the luxury of time, meaning when someone gets into this business, they have to have that time that they can use that they don't necessarily expect to make money on. Meaning, if you're going to work on a real estate deal, you could go months without making money. You have to have that luxury of being able to do that. So thank God my husband's working. So he's not really dependent on my work. So I have that luxury. And also I can afford to help. So, you have to have one with the other. We're all human. You can't do it all. But I do have that luxury of being able to do what I want because I have someone else providing and I have assistance at home and with other things. So, nice. But really, if anyone wants to get into business, there are no excuses. Like, get up and do it. Start listening to podcasts, reading books, talking to people. Take that first step, one step at a time, and get to where you want to. I switched careers only 4 years ago in my 30s. First of all, it's never too late to switch careers. And if you're going to do it, just take action, do it.
Amen. You mentioned podcasts and books. Are there any favorites of yours?
I became a podcast junkie. So I actually I've been on a lot of podcasts. So I try to support the ones that I've been on and listen to the other episodes that they've put out. Mm-hmm. Books, I don't have so much time to read. But I enjoy The Power of Now is a super powerful book by Eckhart Tolle. Now that I got involved in funds, I'm reading all about funds, personal choices.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit forward looking. So you've accomplished a lot in a short period of time. What do you see happening in the next, 2 years from now?
So oftentimes when people ask me that question, I don't know the answer because I always say, like, if I was myself 5 years ago, I would never imagine myself being where I am right now. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, where would you be in 5 years? I was still a speech language pathologist. I was sitting in a school working with children from 9 to 4. It was great. It was nice. I enjoyed working with the children. It was very rewarding. But I could have never imagined myself being where I am right now, buying real estate, investing, raising equity. So for me, I say I want to enjoy the process, and my goals are limitless. So I don't know where I'm going to be in 2 years, but I'm aiming for the moon and having fun doing it.
Well, yeah, being that I created the Real Estate Niche Show, I'm a big fan of niches and being, as focused as possible. And I would encourage everybody to, figure out which, as niche-y as you can get, because I think that when you focus on that one thing, and that's a book by Gary Keller that I would encourage anybody to read, just to focus on being the best at that one thing. Anywho, anything else on that topic?
My niche right now is raising equity. That's my main focus at the time. We are buying. My husband takes care of that. But my focus is raising equity.
Raising equity. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, cool. So anything else on the topic before we pivot?
Go ahead. Next.
All right, next. So we're going to pivot into some of those 4 questions that I like to wrap up with, which is, number 1 is, what is the first or the worst job that you've ever had?
My first job was actually my worst job. I was actually babysitting 2 adorable children, almost every day after school. I actually really enjoyed the job. They were so cute, and I would always try to do like creative things with them and not just sit there and watch them, but I actually planned for it. But the reason I didn't like it was because I didn't feel appreciated. The mother was not warm to me, and I was like watching her children. So I didn't have a good feeling about it. But the thing I learned from that is that because I have children, I have a lot of help. I try to treat my people that work for me very well. So it's something good came out of it, and they're taking care of my kids. So we try to treat them all well.
Treat others well. Good advice. Good lesson to learn. How does Esti invest in herself?
So I really love what I do. As crazy as it sounds, I love working. People are like, you're traveling, you're going on vacation. I said, no, I go for work. I really love what I do. I call raising equity my latest hobby because I do enjoy it. What do I do for myself? I just try to make time to work out and eat healthy. That's something I do. And I love spending time with my children. So.
Very nice. And how does Esti invest in the world or the community?
My husband and I are very big proponents on giving back as much as possible. So we try to help charities as much as we can and help in person and advise people as much as possible. Wherever, it's not always about money. It's sometimes giving advice and just doing a good deed wherever you can. So I try to be for the others as much as possible. Money, advice, actual assistance.
Very nice. Good stuff right there. And the last question of the series is how do you define the word success?
So to me, success is really like for me personally, it's raising good children. At the end of the day, you can acquire all the money you want. You can have all the status and fame you want. Those things just don't end. But for me personally, it's I want my kids to be good people. I want them to be nice to the next person, help the next person, and grow up to be mentioned. So for me, that's my personal success.
Amen. To be a mensch. That's great. Cool. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add or share with us about what it is you're working on or anything like that?
Just my advice to everyone is, just get out there, work hard, hustle, and just keep going, networking and learning. Just don't stop. And I raise equity. If anyone wants to invest in commercial real estate, I have. Yeah,
so share with everybody, how do people get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me Esther Reizes-Lowenbein. I'm on Instagram, on Facebook. Reach out to me on any of those social media sites.
Awesome. Well, on that note, thanks again for coming on the Real Estate Niche Show. And it was an honor meeting you the other day. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you at another networking event because I'm out there as well. Maybe we can compare notes and just try to help each other out. So
definitely should.
For sure. So
yes, thanks for having me.
All right. My pleasure. And it's a Friday, so Shabbat Shalom. And thanks to everybody for listening. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, share, hit the like button, all that good stuff. That would really help me grow this as we're getting the Real Estate Niche Show off and running. So on that note, have a great day. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Real Estate Niche Show. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me or the show, you can follow me on Instagram at Ben Kogut and at The Real Estate Niche Show. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.